What advice would I give? Well, I've watched the Phoenix Boys do their thing for a while now, and one of the things that I can say they do very, very well is they act as peers to each other. The main reason for the inception of the club, from what I've been told, I wasn't present at that time, but they wanted to create a peer group so boys could talk to other boys about what they were learning and what was normal, so that they could educate one another, trade best practices, teach one another what can be reasonably expected out of a power dynamic relationship, because a new boy coming into the scene may or may not fall in with the right dominant figure. And the assumption that a dominant figure in a new boy's life has all of his best interests in mind is, it's optimistic, but it's not necessarily always the case. So the boys wanted to create a group where they could be with each other and share practices with one another and create kind of a community that way where they're in a safe space. And I really, really love that. And that's one of the things that the Phoenix Boys do very well. So I would strongly encourage a new boy group to have a purpose of actually being peers and mentors to one another, and be safe for one another to go to, because the boy identity is so rooted in service, and looking for that authority figure, that it can be easy to get swept up in something, and maybe you learn from it, but also it can be a way to get hurt. So I think that having a place to figure that out with your brothers and then go out into the world and test that out is good. Also, seeing one another frequently is a thing. The boys here meet weekly. There's not always an agenda, but some weeks it's just we get together and socialize and have fun. Make your time together enjoyable. It doesn't have to be so regimented and just like tied up in procedure. It doesn't have to be that way. It can just be about getting together to have a good time. And I think that the other thing that they do really well is they're super open. So they, don't mistake me, they absolutely look out for one another. And I have totally seen in the bars when a newcomer comes in and he meets somebody and they see someone starting to have a conversation with this person. And I've seen my club brothers read body language, and if they don't feel like a conversation's going well, or somebody's standing like looking around like they don't feel safe, they will totally swoop in and say, oh, hey, like, I'm super glad you're here. There was somebody I wanted you to talk to. Can I borrow him for 5 minutes? And get that person out of there. So they're great about welcoming people. If they see a new person in a bar, me and my club brothers are absolutely the ones to walk up and say, hey, we haven't seen you here before. What brings you in? And try to get to know that person. But also, if somebody shows up and is sketchy, we are often the ones to maybe pull people out of those dynamics and show that we do look out for one another and we want to keep one another safe. So having a common purpose, I think, is a great first step. Being there and making your time enjoyable, spending time together frequently, but having fun, doing things that you really like, and also having that sense of community where you are open to people as they're coming into the community, but also protecting the people that you know are there so that everybody is safe and having a good time. I think those are probably the three main components, I would say, to a successful boy club. So think about those things, talk to each other, figure out what works for you. But yeah, have a purpose.